What's up, everybody? Welcome on into our NFL show of the week number 8. Bryson, we are coming up on that halfway point, man. It is very depressing, if I might say. I feel like we just began football, but this show is presented by our friends over at Honest Golf Apparel. If you guys have not already checked out Honest Golf, go to honestgolf.ca. Use our special code TSF20, as you can see there on the bottom ticker. Get yourself 20% off your order today, whether you're a golfer, whether you're just a sport person. Great shirts, great hats, and a lot more stuff for you. Bryson Owens is with me in the building today, brother. Good to see you. How you feeling about this week 8 slate we got?
I'm doing really well so far, man. You know, there's a couple of games that probably won't be super exciting heading into this Sunday, but there's a few matchups. You got the top rookies that we're going to talk about in a little bit. That's going to be fun to see them play against each other for the first time. I think there are going to be some sneaky good matchups this weekend, so it's going to be a fun Sunday of NFL football.
I'm with you. Going to be a great Sunday of NFL football, and we are starting here, which I couldn't be happier with the game we're starting with. I got it on, baby. Black and yellow represent. We're on top of the North, so until we're not, I'm going to keep talking my shit. That is the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. They are 2.5-point dogs against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags coming into Pittsburgh 2.5-point favorites. They were field goal favorites, but the line's getting a little bit closer as we get close to game time here. 41-point over under. Look, man, this is a tough game for me. You know how much I love my Steelers, but anyone that watches this show, you know I love me the Jacksonville Jaguars too when it comes to sports betting and just analytics alone. So what do you do in a game like this? Is this another trap game for the Jags?
I don't know if it's a trap game for the Jags. I do like the momentum that they're riding with. They found something really, really fun with Travis Etienne. He has been on another level the last few weeks. I think it's 3 straight games with at least 2 touchdowns. Some to that effect. He's been incredible. 3 straight games with 2 touchdowns on the ground. He's been incredible on the ground lately, and he's opened up a lot of the passing game that they really haven't had all season. You know, when they weren't running the ball very well to start the season, the middle of the field was really muddied up. Evan Ingram really wasn't heavily involved. Christian Kirk out of the slot wasn't very heavily involved. And you've seen the last few weeks as ETN's gotten the offense going with the run game, the passing game for the Jaguars off the play action, Trevor Lawrence getting the deep shots going down there with Kirk and all is working really well. And they're doing all this without Calvin really get going. He is still finding his groove, still finding his connection with Lawrence. That makes them very dangerous. I do like how Pittsburgh's playing. They've bounced back very well from that embarrassing loss to the Texans early in the year, as the Steelers do. You know they're not going to have too many of those embarrassing losses in a season. There are some holes in this Pittsburgh team, specifically on offense, that does scare me. But I think it's a really good matchup heading into this one.
May I ask which holes you are talking about? Is Kenny Pickett the problem? Is the receiving game the problem? Is the run game the problem? Where are you seeing it?
It's mostly the run game. The run game scares me a little bit. They are 28th in the NFL in rushing yards per game, 81.3. Najee Harris really isn't getting a whole lot of chunk plays. He's a lot of those 2 yards here, 3 yards here. He'll bust out one big run a game, but it's really only 20 yards. That's his kind of style of a big run. Jalen Warren's exciting. He's electric. He's a little inconsistent, especially running in between the tackles. I think he has a lot to get better at in that part of the game. And part of that has to go with the offensive line. Like the run game and offensive line kind of goes hand in hand. You can't really have a super good run game without a good offensive line. And the Steelers' offensive line is still a little bit, it's better than I think a lot of people had it before the season started. They're 18th according to PFF and their offensive line rankings. They went up 5 spots. So it's not like it's a terrible offensive line. It's a little inconsistent. It ebbs and flows. And if that offensive line is good, it gives the run game some holes. It gives Kenny Pickett some time in the pocket, which means he's going to play really well. So those are the 2 big ones I'm looking at for that offense. I don't think Kenny Pickett's not the problem. For all the people saying it's Pickett's fault, I don't think it's Pickett.
Thank you, Bryson, because I wasn't allowed to say it because then I'm just a you-know-what writer. Look, man, I feel like Kenny Pickett is not the problem. This boy's a dog, folks.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys been watching football. You guys can hate on Matt Canada. You can hate on the offense. You can say Steelers are just straight up defensive team. They're one of the worst offenses in the NFL, blah, blah, blah. First of all, we're on top, so shut up. I don't want to hear about it. But more importantly, Kenny's not the problem, guys. Kenny is getting plays, and he's literally saying, We're not running that. Check. We're going this, audibles to something else. Then they need a game-winning drive out of Kenny Pickett. The kid steps up almost every single time. He's the opposite of Justin Herbert. He actually has clutch in his veins. So stop this Kenny Pickett, whatever. Dude, I'm getting tired of it. I'm watching some of these shows and these analysts and, Kenny Pickett, he's just not that guy. And I'm like, I don't know what you're watching, okay? I don't know what you're watching. Look at the pieces he has around him. You brought up Najee Harris. My problem with Najee, and I like Najee Harris as a person. I even liked him when we first had him in the first year. However, he looks like he's already and I'm sorry, I don't want to use this word, washed back. He looks like his explosiveness is already gone, and I don't really see it coming back. Like, we saw Le'Veon Bell be able to stop and do that for 5-6 years. He was able to have that in his step, and Najee's is already gone. Like, I like Jaylen Warren too. I'm with you. The problem is I don't view Jaylen Warren as an RB1. On the Steelers, he's almost an RB1, but on any other team, he's not an RB1. He's a phenomenal RB2, but they need a running back. I'm looking at you, Derrick Henry, please. Oh my Lord, please come to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We can use you. Hey, we'll give you Najee and a pick back. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine the Pittsburgh Steelers with Derrick Henry? Oh my God. All they got to do is run the ball, kill the clock, play defense, and they're going to beat everybody. But anyway, I'm with you here. Steelers. What do you do here? Because 2.5, you kind of got to go money line if you like Pittsburgh in this game. With that said, you guys are seeing 2.5 here at -105. That already means you can look on multiple other books and it's going to be at 3 because it's not quite 110 and 110. So if you like the Steelers, my recommendation is you get 3 points here. Bryson, any other team than the Jags, dude, I feel like I would take Pittsburgh here. But I got to go Jags. I'm here to give winners. So I'm going to go -140 on the money line, Jacksonville Jaguars, to get this thing done. I'm sorry, Pittsburgh, please take all my money this weekend and make sure that I lose this football game. But I got to go Pittsburgh Steelers here to lose this game. But I think they cover 3 points if it falls to 3. So you guys pick your poison. Over under 41 points, Bryson. Now it could be 21-20. Jags get it done. But 41 points, is it too high or too low?
I think it's a little low. I think the Jaguars, you look at their last handful of games, they're putting up points in bunches, and they're doing it against good defenses. They put up 31 against the Saints' top 5 defense. They put up 37 against the Colts, who have a really good defense. And they put up 25 against the Bills, who have a really good defense. So they're putting up points. The problem with this comes if the Steelers can do the same thing. The Jaguars are also giving up points. They've given up 20 points to the Bills, 20 to the Colts, 24 to the Saints, and everyone knows how we feel about the Saints offense led by Derek Carr, and they almost gave up that comeback win last week. So I think the over is the play here. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game than people think. I know the Steelers are known for their defense, but it's really not the same defense that people are used to. I think I saw the stat that there's only 2 teams in the NFL that have been outgained in every game so far this season. The Steelers are one of them.
Don't say it.
Doesn't happen very often. It just doesn't happen very often. The Steelers give up a lot of yards. They're also 17th in points allowed per game. So their scoring defense isn't there either. They come up clutch. The defense is clutch. They make plays when they need to. But I can see it being somewhere around like a 27-24 type of ball game.
27-24. I like that. And I do want to touch on what you're saying because I fully agree with everything you said. And I think it's good that you said that because a lot of people don't view these teams as high-scoring teams. And they also oftentimes view these teams as these unstoppable defensive units. And right now, Pittsburgh, this pains me to say, but if you look at the numbers, they are considered the luckiest team in the NFL right now for their record combined with their points versus their points allowed for their record. Overall, they shouldn't be where they are. They should be a worse football team. They should not in any statistical category have beaten the Baltimore Ravens. They did play well against the Browns, but honestly, they didn't have much business beating them either. So I'm with you here. I think 41 points is too low. I think minimum, and I mean minimum, and this is if the Jags defense plays how I think they can play. I'm seeing 16 to 17 points here for Pittsburgh, all the way up to 21, maybe even 23 if it goes that high. If you let Pittsburgh put up more than 23 points, you deserve to lose a football game. I'm just going to say that right now. But I like the Jags here. I'm going to go Jags 23 to 20, and that's barely going over, but that's like as low as I can see this game going. But I will say, guys, the more I look at the numbers, I'm looking at some more numbers here. 56% of the bets, 52% of the money is on the Jags on the road. The sharp bettors are on the Jags on the road, and I am on the Jags money line on the road. I truly think that they are going to win this game heavy. I love that you mentioned how many points they put up against good defenses. This is a spot where the Pittsburgh Steelers finally, in my painful opinion, get exposed in a football game. We're finally going to see it. I don't mean exposed like, oh, they're terrible. Just exposed like, okay, there's a loophole, and there's a loophole. Because if you can stop the run game, which isn't very hard to do, all you got to do is kind of contain Deontay Johnson and get a little bit of pressure on Kenny Pickett. Matt Canada is going to fuck up everything else, so it doesn't really matter. And then if you can just avoid TJ Watt either getting huge strip sack fumbles or interceptions, you can beat this football team. It's not that hard. Just play mistake-free football and you will beat them. So Jacksonville Jaguars and the over. Good luck to you guys in that one. Wow, we just talked about that game for 12 minutes. So hope you guys got everything you needed to know about the Steelers and the Jags game. But jumping over, you brought this one up when we started the show, and it's going to be a fun one. The Houston Texans are on the road. CJ Stroud -3.5, walking into Carolina, taking on Bryce Young and the Panthers. They are 3.5-point dogs, 43.5-point over-under. I got to be honest with you, first thing that jumps off the board to me, 43.5 feels a little bit high here, but looking at the spread, who do you like here? You know I like the Texans, but is 3.5 points too many?
I don't think so. I think the Texans are well coached. I know they're on the road. I know that CJ Stroud hasn't been like lighting it up the last couple of games like he did at the start of his career. He had the tough one against the Saints a couple weeks ago, still came up with the win. He's so poised as a rookie. You look at that Saints game, he threw his first career interception in that game. He looks so poised as a rookie. He knows what he's doing every play. He's well coached. I love this coaching staff for the Houston Texans. They may not be the most talented group. That wide receiver unit, especially, people point out as like that's kind of a weak point of the offense. They've got good guys over there. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Robert Woods. It's a solid wide receiver unit for this this stage in the Texans rebuild is off to a good start because they've got guys. They're not starting over from nothing. Meanwhile, the Panthers, every time they see a little bit of stuff go right, a little bit more stuff go wrong. Bryce Young finally starts playing well. He got off to such a good start against the Dolphins, put up 21 points pretty early, and then the Dolphins just poured it on because that Panthers defense couldn't stop you and me out there. We could have scored for Miami in that game. So
for sure.
I think the Texans offense is going to have a really successful day against this Panthers team. And unfortunately for the Panthers, I see them being winless after this week as well. And I like the Texans to cover 3.5 points.
0-7 is where they will be if they drop this football game. Oh my Lord. Well, hey, they might get the number 1 pick. So, I mean, there's that.
That pick goes to the Bears. They traded pick when they traded up for number 1 overall. Yeah, so even if they go winless, they don't get the pick. So congrats to the Bears. They're probably going to get Caleb Williams without even trying.
Wow. Yeah, we were just talking on the college football show about Harbaugh and how he might go there. He might be a Bears coach. That's a good spot for him. He's probably tired of all the BS going on at Michigan. But hey, we're not here to talk college football. You guys can check out our college football show. It was the show before this show, so go check it out. Click there on our YouTube, and please hit that subscribe button. But back to this one here. I'm with you. I don't see a world in which I can take Carolina to win this football game. 3.5 points, okay. Maybe you should consider that. But honestly, 4.5 to me should be the minimum in this game. And I think the spread could be all the way up to 6 right now in this game. I just think 3.5 is too low. You like CJ. I like CJ. We've been on this kid the entire year. We picked him as our offensive rookie of the year as well. And he's currently the favorite right now. Like everything we thought about this Texans team is kind of shaping up the way we thought. The only thing I need to see out of them is can the defense play the good football? We've seen about 4 good games and 2 bad games from this defense. And I think this defense against the Panthers should have a huge day. I don't know if you guys watched the Hard Knocks or anything else, or just, any Panthers game so far this year. They cannot block for Bryce Young. They don't protect him. They don't give him time. He gets absolutely murdered. He's this big around. The dude can't take these shots that he's taken. Like, everything about this game to me tells me Carolina do not, in my personal opinion, this is very low. I think 13 points or less. I really don't think that they can put up much more than that. Maybe they get to 17, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. If they get to 20, I'll be very surprised. I will be let down by the Texans defense if they give up 20 or more to this Panthers football team. But even if they do, I think the Houston Texans are good for 24-27 in this game. I'm going to go score prediction here. I'm going to go 24-16, and I'm going to go with the under in this game at 40 points, and I'm going to go Houston Texans to cover. I just think CJ's too good. You guys saw me doing my left. Do it right. Do it. CJ going to be doing that a lot in this game. I also, by the way, throwing out a prop bet. I like a CJ Stroud anytime touchdown. I think he runs one in here against this Panthers team. So over under 41 points, man. What do you do? Or sorry, I'm sorry, 43.5 points.
Yeah, I'm probably with you on the under there, and it's largely because I don't think the Panthers can put up enough points. I'm with you. I'm seeing them somewhere around the 14 to maybe capping off at 18 type of score. If we're throwing out scores, I like 23-17. So a 6-point win for the Texans.
Same thing.
One thing with the Panthers and taking the spread, if you think the Panthers are going to lose this game, you should take the Texans to cover, because in 5 of the Panthers' 6 losses so far this year, they've been by more than 3 points. So they lose games by more than the 3.5 point spread pretty often. So I like the cover. I like the Texans to win by at least 6. I like the under in this game.
There you go, guys. We're both going Texans. We're both going under. Maybe we're going to be wrong, but let me throw out one thing that just makes me love this play so freaking much, Bryson. 92% of the bets, 94% of the money is on the over 43.5 points. Isn't that insane?
That's crazy. Yeah.
So if you guys want to ride with 8% of the people, and we are probably 2 of those, 20 people riding with the Panthers and going with the under here, under 43.5, guys. Yes, the sharp bettors are on the over as well, but I think they're wrong here. I don't fade sharps often, but once in a while it makes sense. This makes sense. Guys, this could be even less than 40 points, but we both said a 40-point total. We could give up another field goal, and we're still fine. So we're going to go under here, and we're both going to go Texans. CJ Stroud all the way to the bank. I feel even better about the Texans winning this game than I do about the Jags beating the Steelers. But to be honest with you, I love both of those teams to get it done. Jumping over, it's time again. We said, hey, remember what we said on the show? We said if the Broncos lost last week, we were not going to talk about them again for the rest of the year. And by God, congratulations, Broncos country. We have to do it now for the rest of the year. Broncos, 7-point dogs in their own house. Kansas City coming back to Denver. It is the second time playing the Chiefs in the last 3 weeks. Last game was in Arrowhead. Broncos, 8.5-point dogs when this opened. 8-point dogs 2 days ago on the radio show, and now 7-point dogs. Sharp action coming in on the Broncos. Public coming in heavy on Kansas City. What's going on here?
I don't know. I don't know why the spread's moving more close to the Broncos, making this a competitive game. I don't see it happening. A lot of it, in my opinion, has to do with just all the drama going around the franchise right now. With the trade deadline coming around, there's a million names being thrown out there. The Broncos have to be distracted by that. Players see that kind of stuff. When the players see their name on social media, be like, oh, my name's on the trade block. That's
I'm on the chopping block? Yeah.
Yeah. And Kareem Jackson being suspended for 2 games on a play he should have been suspended against. That was a BS call by the NFL. Russ, even though he had a decent bounce back game against the Packers last week, still didn't light it up. He still wasn't putting up 30 points on the Packers defense. This Chiefs defense is a lot better than the Packers defense. And this Chiefs offense is starting to turn it around. They're getting better. They put up 31 points against the Chargers a week ago. I don't see it being a pretty game for Denver. I know that they typically play the Chiefs pretty hard. They typically make these games a little bit closer. It's at home. Maybe they get a boost from the fans, but I don't see it being a pretty game for the Broncos. So I like the Chiefs to cover 7 points. I like them at 8.5. I like them even more at 7.
Wow. I was going to say anyone that was going to lay more than a touchdown. Here you go, guys. You got your dream number. You got your touchdown. And you want to take Kansas City, do it now. Because if this thing falls to 6.5, I will be genuinely shocked. And by the time you guys are watching this right now on YouTube, there's a good chance that this number has moved. But I just think if it's moved, it ain't at 7, it's at 7.5 or 8, and it's not at 6 or 6.5. But since we have to talk about it at 7, I took 8.5 or 8 on the radio 2 days ago. I'm willing to take 7 again. 65% of the bets, only 33% of the money is on Kansas City here. I'm very, very surprised by the line. I'm very surprised. Like you mentioned, the guy's about to get traded. Yes, maybe that makes you play harder, but I also think that screws things up. That makes guys play in their head. You know, like what you're saying, like, why would it go backwards? Why would the number go backwards?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
struggling
weird
with it. But let me tell you something. Sports books, they're smarter than we are. They understand things that we don't know. They are looking at factors that we may have not even heard of yet that's about to come out in a couple hours. Like there's things that they know. So something here is making them move this line down. Why would the 6-1 Kansas City Chiefs, who beat the Broncos by 11 points 2 weeks ago, walk into the 2-5 Denver Broncos, who escaped against the Bears and the Packers and probably shouldn't have won either of those football games? Why would the line come backwards? All I can tell you guys is I'm going to follow the line movement trend in this game, and I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos plus the 7 points. And if you missed the show the other day, Bryson, I did go to bat. I did have to go up against Brian Jones from Kansas City, and you already know he had all that stuff he wanted to talk about his Chiefs. I went to bat for the Denver Broncos, and I said, hey, this could be it. All streaks come to an end. The Broncos can't beat Mahomes. Can they get him here? They're in Denver. They got the blueprint. They've had some time to prepare for Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes, I know right now you can argue. I saw your quarterback rankings list. You had Mahomes at number 1. I don't blame you for that whatsoever. I think your rankings list was really good. But the dude's not playing the best football we've seen him play. And he might still belong at number 1. But like, look at the Jets game. Look at the Jags game. Like, look at the Lions game. Mahomes has had a few games this year where he's leaving the door open. And even though he always ends up closing that door when he has to, and they might win this game by 3 points on a Butker 52-yarder, and he'll probably hit it. There's this piece of me that says, I am going to go plus 7. I hope the hook comes back by game time. But if you guys want to go ahead and sprinkle just a little bit of money on that Broncos money line, the streak's going to come to an end eventually. They only play twice a year, and they only play in Denver once a year. I think if it ever happens, it happens in Denver. So why not try it here? You're getting about plus 300 odds. I think it's worth a tiny little try here. Now, over under in this game, you're looking at 46 points. You have a great Kansas City defense that are playing out of their mind right now. You have a Broncos defense that can't stop anybody. They played decent last week against the Packers, but Jordan Love made that very, very easy. What do you do here?
I'm going to take the under in this game. I'm going to give the Broncos defense a lot of credit. Their last handful of games, they've actually played pretty darn well. I know they gave up a ton of points to the Bears a few weeks ago in the first half. That second half, they really shut them out. I think that second half was a turning point in that game. You look at the Jets game the next week, the Jets scored 31 points. Not all that was on the defense. Some of that was on that strip sack from Russ to end the game. They gave up 19 to the Chiefs. Then they gave up 17 to the Packers. Like, this defense, I think, is starting to turn a corner. It's playing a lot better than they did to start the season. And then the Chiefs defense, like you mentioned, it's one of the best in the NFL. I guess if you're taking the under, it makes it easier to pick what you're saying with the spread. It's hard to win by 7 points if you're going to take an under in a football game. Those two kind of go hand in hand. So that makes my pick a little bit risky, but I like the under in this game. I think it's going to be a really good defensive battle the entire game.
Final score prediction, man. What do you got for them?
Ooh, okay. So I have the under and I have the Chiefs covering. So let's go with 23.
Oh, wow.
23-16.
Ooh,
That puts it
ooh.
right at
Oh,
7. 23, but still 24-16. 24-16. That
24-16.
gets
I
them
like that.
cover, and that's put them at 40 points.
I like that. I will give the Broncos up to two touchdowns,
Yep.
and two field goals in this game. So I'll give them
Okay.
20. Only way they win this game is if Kansas City has one of their crap the bed moments and they put up 17 points and the Broncos pull it off, which we've seen happen
Yep.
many a times before, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to go 20 for the Broncos and I'm going to go 24 for Kansas
Okay.
City here. The Russ is going to have the ball in his hands once again for a game-winning drive. They're going to fall short, and for that reason, I think they cover the spread. That's 44 points. It goes under. I'm with you here. You know, even 2 days ago talking about this game, I was like, yo, you got to go over, right? Like, how do you not go over in this game? Because I don't trust the Broncos defense, but you make a very good point here. And I also mentioned that I think Mahomes is struggling just a little tiny bit. So for that reason, we're both going under. Bryson going Kansas City for the second week in a row, and I'm going Broncos for the second week in a row. We'll see what happens there. Any prop bets that you like in this one, man? Obviously, if we're both on the under, picking a touchdown score, it's a little tough. But does anyone just jump off the board to you? Maybe even Travis Kelce, seeing that I don't see a world in which T Swift ain't pulling up to Denver, Colorado. But what you like here?
Yeah, I mean, if she's there, slam every Travis Kelce prop. He's sitting at 75.5 receiving yards for his line. I think I saw he
Yep.
averages 99 receiving yards a game when Taylor Swift is there. So I'd wait on that until you know if she's there or not. If she is, you hit the over on that one. I like over on Russell Wilson rushing yards too. It's at 18.5. He's been using his legs a lot more lately. He's been escaping the pocket and picking up yards. You saw in the Packers game, he had a huge third down run where he picked up like 20 yards to put him in scoring position. So I like his rushing yards on that one. Trying to think if there's any other ones that are jumping off the page. I like Chris Jones to record a sack. It's not the best odds, but you can throw in like a same game parlay type of thing. Chris Jones, the Broncos offensive line is pretty solid this year, but he's a different animal. He is one of the best defensive players in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. I got to bring up this quick prop that I found here that just weirdly jumps off the board to me. I know it's not the most inviting number, but I don't see a world in which it doesn't hit. That is right here. As you can see, touchdown props, longest touchdown. The teams to have a tie, which is not going to happen. Chiefs minus 155, Broncos plus 130. I don't see how we burn these guys deep, but I see a lot of ways in which they beat us deep. Do you think Kansas City to score the longest touchdown feels like kind of free money?
I think that's a really good one, especially because it doesn't even need to be a long one. The Broncos score a lot of their touchdowns in the red zone. They're not big touchdown plays. I think they had the one early on to Marvin Mims that was like a 60-yarder. Other than that, it's been a lot of like 15-yard touchdowns here, 10 yards here, 6 yards here. We're not burning teams deep to score. While the Chiefs, it could be a 21-yard touchdown. That could be the longest touchdown of the day. So I like where you're thinking with that one.
Well, there you go, guys. Take a shot if you want to. I don't hate Rice to get in and score a touchdown, but I'm really thinking I'm going to just stay off of touchdown scores in this game. Play the spread, play the total, maybe play this prop we just talked about. I don't hate what you said about Russell Wilson either, but I don't know, man. I trust this Kansas City defense maybe a little bit more than I should, but I think they could play a very good game here. So, hey, good luck to you guys there. Shout out to the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
Come on, guys. If we're going to win any game this year, please, let's win this one and shut up Kansas City. I'm tired of hearing about, it's going to start. The Kansas City Chiefs fans are going to start that "Who's your daddy" chant against us now, since the Denver Nuggets felt the need to go do that. So, right? See, they could do that too. So it's like, hey, let's not play that game. But all right, man, a couple other things in the NFL that I wanted to ask you about. First of all, looking over at the 49ers and Brock Purdy, looks like concussion protocol. We at this point, we're pretty darn sure Purdy's not going to be playing in this game. What does that mean for the 49ers? They already have their backs against the wall. They've dropped 2 games in a row that they should not have lost. And now they have the Bengals, in this week. And Joe Burrow is finally starting to look a little bit better. Are they in trouble in this game?
I think they're definitely in trouble. In fact, if I was going to pick an underdog for the week, that the Bengals might be my favorite. Wow. I know that the 49ers don't run the most complicated offense for quarterbacks. It's pretty quarterback friendly. Sam Darnold's a perfectly competent backup. I think he'll be just fine if he goes out there. The Bengals defense is kind of struggling this season, but like you mentioned, Joe Burrow's starting to play really well, and he and Jamar Chase are getting that connection back. They're looking really good. The Bengals have won 3 straight games, so I think they're in prime position to win that game.
I'm always open. You know what I'm saying?
That was a great collab.
So funny.
I love that so much. But it's not just Brock who's out. They've got Debo who's out. Trent Williams, their star left tackle, he's questionable. So the Niners are starting to pile up with injuries, and the Bengals coming off a really good last few weeks. I think the Niners should be worried about this game for sure.
I'm with you. I think they should be worried about this game as well. However, I have said for a long time, and I'm about to find out if I'm going to eat my words here on Sunday. I've been saying Brock Purdy is good, but he is a game manager. If Sam Darnold comes in and can do exactly what Brock Purdy does, then we kind of know if he's a game manager or not. This sounds so weird coming out of my mouth, but I actually trust Sam Darnold in this football game. Okay. I think the 49ers are going to win this game. I think Sam Darnold's going to play well. I don't think he's going to play great, but he'll play well. And I think they win the game. I don't want to touch the 3.5 point spread. No, thank you. But if I had to pick a winner in that game, I know what you're saying about the Bengals as dogs, and I don't blame you. I just think so many people are going to jump on that there between the 49ers struggling and Brock Purdy being down. Why would everybody not be like, yo, give me the Bengals all day? They might cover that spread. I just think they will fall short, and the 49ers find a way to win. Great teams find a way to win football games, and I think in San Francisco, they can find a way. If this was at Cincinnati, this would be a different talk. However, we'll see what happens there. But the Eagles, should they be on upset alert?
No, they shouldn't be. I know Washington gave them everything they had last time they played. I wouldn't take the 7 points. I think that's a little high. I wouldn't worry about them losing this game, though. I think they're starting to turn it around. Jalen Hurts is starting to play Jalen Hurts football again. He played really well against the Dolphins. And more than anything, that Eagles defense finally started looking like the Eagles defense we kind of thought it would. They were playing the Miami Dolphins, one of the best offenses maybe ever, one of the most explosive offenses maybe in NFL history. And they held the Miami Dolphins 17 points. That secondary played really well. They made a trade for a really good safety from Tennessee who's going to help out that defense a lot. Washington, I was really high on Washington to start the season. They got off to a 2-0 start. I still like Sam Howell. I still think he has a lot of potential in this league. But
I agree.
Commanders are starting to cool down. They're starting the allure of their starts kind of fading a little bit. Like I mentioned with the Broncos, they have some guys who are on trade blocks who might affect their game a little bit. And ultimately, I think the Eagles, one of the things I love about this game, the Eagles are 4th in the NFL, I believe, or 5th. They're 5th in the NFL in pressure rate percentage. And they're against the Commanders' offensive line, who is one of the worst offensive lines in football. Every game, Sam Howell gets sacked 5+ times.
Murdered. So I think
it's going to be a pretty long day for Sam Howell.
Yeah, the only reason I'm asking about this is just because, as you alluded to, last time they played, honestly, Washington should have won the football game. They went to overtime. Absolutely. They should have gone for 2. They didn't go for 2. Rivera pulled out okay, I'm not going to use the word. Be nice, Riggs. He pulled a very weak move and chose not to go for 2 because he said, my offense was a little too tired, so I didn't think we were going to get it. It's 2 yards, sir. Are you freaking kidding me? Run the damn play in Philadelphia and beat them. And if you lose, no one gives a shit. But instead, they chose to go to overtime in Philly against Jalen Hurts. How do you think that's going to work out for you? Let's be real here. So that's the reason I'm asking is now, since it's in Washington, there's that little bit of, we got to get this one back. We've already kind of pulled out the blueprint of how to beat these guys. We just need to put it together this time. So I'm with you. I have Philly winning this game. I don't think they're on upset alert, but I had to ask you just because of how I went last time. And then one more thing for me, and then we can get out of here unless you got another dog you want to throw out there. Derrick Henry, right now, he is rumored to be favored to go to the Baltimore Ravens. Now, we don't 100% know he's going to get shipped out of there. Do you like the Ravens as a landing spot? Because I got to throw out there, Come on. Come on. Let's go.
Yeah, I think the funny thing about Derrick Henry is he's one of those players that unless you have Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley or one of these top running backs, every team in the NFL should probably call the Titans for him
Yeah.
because even at his age, he's still one of the best running backs in football. I think the Ravens are a really great landing spot that's going to make that running game so dangerous. And they need a star running back next to Lamar Jackson. It can't be just Lamar being the top running threat every game. I love J.K. Dobbins. It sucked to see him go down back-to-back seasons like he did. He was the best thing the Ravens have had in the run game for years now. And so I think naturally, just because I think he fits everywhere, Derrick Henry would make that offense just absolutely incredible.
Can you imagine?
The zone reads would be impossible to start. Oh, you're going to take Henry? Okay, Lamar's going to hit the outside for 20 yards and a first down. Oh, you're going to take Lamar on the outside? Give Derrick Henry 5 yards for an automatic first down there too.
Dude.
So that's an impossible play to stop for that team.
As a Steelers fan, I'm terrified. I can't do this. I can't watch this happen. I can't play Derrick Henry for the next 3 freaking years at the Baltimore Ravens. I'm a little bit worried about those guys, if I'm being honest with you. But also, hey, let's give them a pick and Najee, please. Please, come on, please. Like Derrick Henry, imagine if we could just, all we got to do is run. Because the Steelers' biggest problem right now, as we all know, their defense wins them football games, right? But sometimes the offense has to go out there and burn 3 minutes, and they can't even burn 3 minutes because they can't get a freaking first down. You know what I'm saying? Give Derrick Henry the rock 3 times, and I guarantee you 3 runs, he can get 10 yards. So I don't know. Is there anywhere else in the league that you think he fits very well compared outside of the Ravens and the Steelers?
Yeah, there's a couple of teams I really like, both in the NFC, which I think makes trading more enticing for the Titans because they don't want to trade him in conference. The Rams, I think going to the Rams would be a really good spot, and the Vikings. Both these teams, especially the Vikings run game is terrible. Alexander Mattison is not living up like everyone thought he would. Give the Vikings that running back. Then when Justin Jefferson comes back, you've got Addison who's playing really well right now. Hawkinson, Jefferson in the passing game. You've got a star running back all there. They're right there at 3 and 4 for a playoff spot. That gives them a huge push for a playoff run. So I think the Vikings might be one of my favorites. I don't know if they want to take that chance, but I think they should. If they have any shot of getting Derrick Henry, they should go all in for it because that would change that offense drastically.
Yo, the Vikings would have like the best offensive weapons of any team in the league. Think about that. Derrick Henry, I'm not a Kirk Cousins guy, but Kirk can ball when he wants to ball. Shout out to him. He got a big win this week. So congratulations, Kirk Cousins in prime time. You finally shut everybody up. Addison, Hawkinson, Jefferson. Like, dude, you're right. You start thinking about that. That could be a big, big problem. Now all they got to do is get 2 offensive linemen, and holy smokes, the Vikings could be going to the freaking Super Bowl. So, man, yeah, you're right. I think the Vikings is a sneaky pick as well. There's probably a couple others that we're not talking about right now, but if there's any you guys want to throw out there, please comment below. If there's a specific spot you guys think Derrick Henry belongs, comment below. If there's a certain dog that you guys are looking at this week in the NFL that you think we should tail with you, and we'd love to tail with you if you think you got a good spot. So please let us know. But my man, any other dogs, any other bets, any touchdown scores, anything that you got to get off your chest before we get out of here?
I don't think so. I think we covered pretty much all of it. I do like the Browns as sneaky dogs. I like the Browns there. That defense is just absolutely incredible. I would take pretty much any of the either Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua to score against the Cowboys this week. I think they're going to throw the ball a ton to stay in that football game. But yeah, I think those are my 2 other bets I have out there right now.
I got to ask you about one touchdown score in this a little same game parlay. I got Raheem Mostert to score and the Dolphins to win at plus 100.
I love that. Hey, that helps my fantasy team in one of my fantasy leagues. So Raheem Mostert can score all the touchdowns he wants. I'm cool with that.
Hey, I got to pat myself on the back. I beat Bryson Owens last week in fantasy. So let me you brought up fantasy. I wasn't going to say it, but you brought up fantasy. So I got to throw it out there. So, hey guys, best of luck to all of you this weekend in your fantasy and your sports betting and everything you're doing. Check out our pages. Please subscribe and follow us on YouTube at the Sports Forum, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Denver Forum. Check out sportsforumdenver.com. Bryson going to have an article up there for you. I'm going to have an article up there for you as well. And our giveaway will be there as well. Go ahead and click that little green button and it'll take you straight to the giveaway. Give Bryson a follow at Bryson Owen 16, myself at Rick Sports Talk. Take care, you guys. Week 8 of the NFL. Enjoy it.